Welcome back. So tell me, what is the focus of Every Nigerian Do Something?
Thank you very much. If I might go to when it was founded and how it came about. It came about precisely on March 18th to 19th, the night of March 18th to March 19th, 2013. And that, if you check the calendar, March 18th was the day that a bomb was thrown at Sabon Gari in Kano. And we said, this can't continue. The Jonathan government is doing nothing about checking this problem. And I said, we have to do something. And it was during that conversation that we have to do something. They were like, we the people collectively can make a change. So that's how the name suddenly came up, Every Nigerian Do Something, that, you know. So that was the date. And if you look at the first post, it was on March 18th. That was the day that this thing just came up. And since then, what we've done is we've focused. So Every Nigerian Do Something has been primarily focused on security in Nigeria.
So before we get sort of the work you do, you thought about it, you found a name, you set it up. Did you register it properly as an NGO? Where is the support coming from? Do you raise funding from the public? I'm trying to sort of get a more detailed picture of the organization itself before we go into what you do.
We registered in the United States. We are not yet registered in Nigeria, but we are registered in the United States. Funding has come here and there. 60%, 70% of funding has been personal from us. We have contributed our
members
money.
of the
members of.
And how is
both.
Membership? Is it just the two of you and your friend that founded it, or you opened it up?
No, we are open. So online we have about 274 people who've joined as members, and you know, we have different bunches. We have about 15,000 on the Facebook page. We have a WhatsApp group of about 60 people. And in all these different channels, we all have discussions. Different people bring information, which we use. We gather information to make our press releases to inform the public.
What else do you do? Because I understand you do work with the civilian JTF, yes?
Primarily, we have been some of the people and some of the first outsiders to really donate to the civilian JTF. So during the course of the war, primarily, I'll say the most important thing we've done, that we credit ourselves with doing, is awareness. Letting the world know the true situation that they are in, and letting the world know the kind of support that they need and what the government is failing to do. So to me, that process of spreading that information is what
How come you have access to the civilian JTF?
In fact, a lot of them are subscribed, and a lot of people from Borno are subscribed to different of our media fora. And then they come to us on our Facebook and say, listen, there was information about an attack on Monguno. There's an attack is going to happen on Monguno. So they give us information, we bring it out, we expose the government, and that's how we used to expose the government in the past.
What ways do you have of cross-checking the accuracy of information? Because it sounds to me as if, you know, it's an all-commerce party. Everybody brings information and you take it all in. So
far, so good. I believe ENDS has so far not made an error. Thank God. And I'm not going to say our information has been perfect, but some of the Amnesty reports, including a video Amnesty is using, was a video that was released publicly by ENDS. So we have multiple ways we check our information. For instance, there was a letter about a pending attack. We saw the letter, and then we called other people, some of our friends in the army at the time, and they'll say, yes, this is true, there is notice. So we had different channels that we used to use. I don't think there's anything more powerful than working with the people. Now,
interestingly, you referenced the Amnesty International report that was released not too long ago. In that report, they indicted the civilian JTF as having a hand in some of the human rights abuses that took place, because many of them worked as pointers to the Nigerian army, leading to the arrest, torture, and in some cases execution of suspects, people who are accused of being part of Boko Haram. Are you not bothered that you are supporting a group that is being indicted by an international and respected body like the Amnesty International?
That's a great question. Right now, Nigeria is in a situation of war. Our civilians have been betrayed by the government. So the civilians have been, to me, between terrorism from the top and terrorism from the bottom. These are the kind of situations our civilian JTF find themselves in. The civilians, I believe, by all means, deserve an entire pardon. I'm not going to say exonerate them,
let's
but
be
they
clear.
deserve
Let's
a
be clear.
pardon
Your
being
story,
in the most tight
let's
spot.
be clear. Let's be clear. According to Amnesty International, what actually happens is that civilian JTF will go to the army and say, in this village, we suspect A, B, C, D, E, F is Boko Haram. Military will raid the village, arrest those people, take them away. Some tortured till they die, some tortured and just kept in captivity, no sort of trial taking place. That is the accusation and the allegation against civilian JTF. And these are the people that you've been giving stun grenades to, walkie-talkies, and a whole bunch of things to support their work. Why?
That allegation against them actually is not criminal. It's informants. They inform about people. They are
leading to people's death.
The death comes from the military, the excesses of the military. The military are meant to properly investigate and properly. But informants are encouraged all over the world. In the United States, in trains, if you see something, say something. When they arrest people who the informants have told them about, it's their duty to properly investigate and interrogate them under the conditions of, human rights laws.
Amnesty
and not
says
in
they are
violation of
complicit.
it.
Amnesty says they are complicit in the death and torture of people who potentially could be innocent of any crime.
That's the army. The civilian JTF, like I'm trying to say, are not a trained body. And that's because the government refused to train them. They are people being brutalized in a very severe, unprecedented, the worst war situation in the world. So I'm not saying they are not guilty, but I'm saying they deserve a pardon based on what they're going through.
You're saying they're mitigating circumstances.
For them, entirely. And I'm not shelving the responsibility from them.
Yeah, but doesn't this go to the heart of what is essentially the problem people have with arming civilians? The focus, there are people who argue the focus should be on building the capacity of the Nigerian army and the Nigerian police to provide security adequately, because you get this kind of problems when you try to bring in civilians into policing.
That's the problem when people think it's the civilians. The army had the same problem. It's a problem of human beings. And we have greater violations and greater atrocities being perpetrated by people in uniform. How many soldiers do we have? 40,000. There was no way we're going to fight this one. That's why we were telling them in Iraq, the same thing happened. The minute ISIS started moving, the army called civilians and said, come and defend yourselves. And they gave them guns. And that's why ISIS was not able. That's why ISIS was not able. If not, ISIS would have taken over Baghdad.
Well, the thing is, I don't think for many people Iraq is exactly a success story. But that's a big debate for another day.
It's not lost. Now, the reason why I understand the Boko Haram situation pretty much, and I believe I do, is because I put myself in the position of the community. And I understand what Boko Haram was doing there. Now, if you look at what Boko Haram was doing there, a lot of people don't know what Boko Haram was doing there.
What were they doing?
Boko Haram was there for land. Boko Haram was there running a pogrom. So the whole intent of Boko Haram is not to convert people. You don't kill people you're trying to convert. They raised Baga. Baga is 99% Muslim. You don't raise a 99% Muslim community that you trade with and they walk. They used to walk through Baga. They know each other.
Pretty serious allegations
because
you're making.
I've
You're talking about
Boko Haram
pogroms.
It's a pogrom. Boko Haram burned down. Baga is burned down. Goza, we went to IDP camps. They said Goza is burned down. They burned down the communities and killed everybody in sight. So they are interested in the land. They are interested in wiping out that population. Because otherwise, Muslim, Christian alike, that's the question. So we need to now look further and say, who are the people that may be interested in the most fertile land in? That's the farming belt. Who are the people that are interested in that farming belt? Who are the people interested in uranium? Uranium seeps from the floor in that area. In the process, between the two of you, you're wiping away that indigenous population.
If there was no war on terror globally, and there's sort of no growth of militant Islam globally, if Libya had not happened and you've got, free arms flooding the West Africa region, then maybe this theory of yours would be listened to a little bit more carefully, but it does not, it seems to go against the evidence that is out there, which is that globally militant Islam is growing and people are fighting for ideology, for Islam, they say. Are you disputing these facts?
The questions we need to ask ourselves is, why Nigeria? Nigeria is not the only country that has this population, Muslim, Christian. Ghana, you have that mix. You go down further.
A lot of, I can answer that question easily. People will tell you injustice, you know,
So
a lack of a future for the young people, so they are looking for options.
Poverty.
There's just a whole bunch of
Poverty,
things.
injustice, those things have nothing to do with terror. These are some of the mistakes some people make. They say, oh, poverty brings terror. We have lots of very, very poor countries. Poor people are not terrorists. Maiduguri has been, Borno has been poor forever. And it's been people who went to do youth service there were like, this is like the best welcoming, the best type of treatment. My friends went to school in Maiduguri. Nigerians don't understand the severity of it. And I always tell them, if you were the one in Sambisa being violated by Boko Haram, you would now think about it. Everybody knows, and CNN and all news stations have mentioned that Niger and Chad used to give, that Boko Haram used to have this freedom to operate from within their territory. This is well-known information.
So one last question, because I must go for a break. President Muhammadu Buhari is in charge. From the time he was sworn in to date, we've had over 30 attacks by Boko Haram. In fact, the attacks seem to have become a little bit even worse because they're happening more often. What do you say to the new president?
Thank you very much. I was at the Bring Back Our Girls, and this is what I told them. I said, you know, we need to push up, rev up our campaign for him to remove those security heads. Right now, I am, and I've written about it.
So you're not blaming him, you're blaming his security
I'm blaming
head.
him, and I've written about it. I wrote a very strong article that he is working with the same security chiefs who have been guilty of not responding to the people when the people called, who are guilty of dissembling our army, decreasing its morale. You are working with those people and you think that the attacks will stop? The military soldiers, they are not yet motivated, because these are the same army chiefs who they knew over the years were sabotaging their cause, who were not giving them enough weapons, and who, when the time to fight came, did not involve the army, did not equip the army, did not equip civilians. They went to hire mercenaries, civilians.
So the new president is failing.
He is failing. And his media team and his media performance is also a failure at this point. Now, he's young in the presidency, so it's understandable to a degree, even though I believe we need to start talking immediately, because I was telling him at the Bring Back Our Girls campaign that if you were in Sambisa and you're going to be violated one more time, would you want us to move fast or to wait and believe he knows what he is doing? He needs to remove the army chiefs, the NSA, immediately, and this, he is now culpable in the increased continuous terror.
Let us take a break. When we return, we speak about the girl child and why Dr. Brimah sees nothing wrong in early marriage. Don't go away.